baby, and the rain is falling. It's dark. It's cool.
Yeah,
I woke up to the loudest clap of thunder I think I've ever heard since we moved up to the north. Since we moved up to the northern suburbs.
Wow.
When do you wake up?
Right up. I mean, this thing woke me up at 2 a.m.
Oh wow.
I want to say.
See, I sleep.
Yeah.
I just sleep.
I'd
sleep through the rapture.
I was walking downstairs to come into work. My oldest son's bedroom door was open, and he was sitting up in bed.
Oh no.
We didn't speak because I was like, wait, are you? I was like literally walking by. I didn't know if he was just like positioned that way, so I just like didn't wake him up. But then he texted me earlier this morning. He's like, I saw you leave. I saw you too. I'm like, did the thunder wake you up? He said, yeah.
Jake, there's something creepy about, even if it's your own flesh and blood. If they're up in the middle of
being
the night
watched,
and they're there. Like one time I got up, it was like for a Kaplan shift, so this was like 2 a.m. and I'm in the kitchen, and all of a sudden my kid's standing at the top of the stairs when I like see her out of the corner of my eye. Hate that.
There's some things they don't prepare you for.
Yeah.
That's like the first act of a scary movie. Like not full-blown terrifying, but just enough to make you go, we're heading in the direction of something scary.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the first 45 minutes.
And they don't say anything. They just stand there.
What's her name from Poltergeist?
Too.
Carol Ann.
Yeah, they're here.
Don't like that.
Yeah. You guys always really sell kids really well on the. I love you're always like, Jake, have kids. Let us tell you how they're like characters in horror films. But Jake, you should have them. They're great.
But I was driving in this morning. It was hard to see. That's the thing too. Like we're heading into that time of year where it's dark when you go to work. It's dark when you get home from work.
I hate that.
Like middle of the night kind of darkness. And this morning it was pouring.
Yeah, is this sticking around all day, Kate?
No. It'll be out of here in the next couple of hours.
Next couple of hours.
And then later
so
on today we're going to have the clouds move out too. Yeah,
nice.
yeah. It's moving out, but.
See, I wish we had it tonight. Like I wanna.
You want a little spooky?
Yeah, a little spooky.
But you've had it last night. No.
No.
All right.
No. I was gone.
Speaking of spooky, everybody.
You were gone?
Yeah.
Later in the hour, I cannot wait to see this. First of all, okay, so this is a cemetery restoration. It's a historic graveyard down in the southwest suburbs in a town called Kangley, which is right near Streeter, and there's been a group that's been working to restore the cemetery for like the last 14 years.
Amazing.
Jake.
Yes.
We were talking about this before the show. Have you ever seen one of those Instagram videos of a gravestone restoration where they polish and like it's like a caked in lime, you can't read any of the, and then they polish it and make it look perfect again?
No.
Oh my gosh.
I've seen where people get like a sheet of paper and then we'll kind of,
Oh yeah.
But no,
it is one of the most satisfying, like 30-second time lapse. It's so satisfying. So I don't know if we're going to get to that level, but they have.
We got to have another guest on to diagnose us, because Anthony and I both.
Yes.
It gives you like a little tingle in the back of your brain to see things be. He likes the pimple popping, or like the horse hooves when you clean out the horse hooves, but there's like an infection under there.
Have you ever seen those videos where they clean the horse hooves, Jake?
Yes.
No, I
sand them down and make them perfect again. How about when some rogue landscaper finds like a senior citizen in the neighborhood?
That I can.
How satisfying is that?
Yeah, that.
You'll watch those.
I'll watch that, but if it involves the word popping,
no,
I'm out.
No, people go either way on the popping.
It scratches an itch.
It's embarrassing.
It scratches an itch that you can't really explain. So maybe we'll have somebody on to diagnose.
Well, you were comparing
4 minutes into this show.
ASMR. I listen to ASMR every single night. Sarah Lavender is who I watch on YouTube. That's her name.
Should put you right to sleep, or
immediately, Anthony. And I'm telling you, like, I will be wide awake watching a show or something on Netflix, throw on Sarah Lavender ASMR, and within 5 minutes, whatever she does, it just calms my brain, and I immediately want to go to sleep.
Wow.
And it could be any of her videos. So give her a try. She's really cute too. I think
there's a guy on YouTube named Michael Seeley. He's a Britishman. Okay, so he's got that. Yeah, he's a Britishman.
Yeah.
He has that accent, and
love it.
It's almost like ASMR with his voice, but he doesn't do. Does Sarah Lavender do like?
She's a lot of like sand, like hand things. And she'll like do like.
We should do a segment out of that. Jake, does that ring a bell?
I wouldn't know. I mean, I am one of those obnoxious people that within seconds of my head on the pillow, I am out.
He doesn't have kids.
I am out.
He doesn't have kids. Remember before you had kids?
Oh, I'm so jealous.
We have a couch right over there. If I went and laid down, and in fact I have laid down on that couch and just out.
Taking a nap up here before.
I know, and we can't anymore because we shoot shows up here now. So our secret nap spot is gone.
Yeah.
So inconvenient. Jake, let me ask you this.
Yo.
You fly around the world a lot.
I do.
Do you sleep on planes?
I do.
Oh,
You?
what?
Yeah. Here's my rule of thumb
Dude.
is if I'm not asleep before we take off, something's. You know what the
literally
worst
fall
is?
asleep.
You know what the worst is?
So-
I have fallen asleep before taking off and woken up and you're still on the ground and then you realize like there's been a delay and you just like slept through the delay and you realize like we haven't moved at all.
Oh, but
We
at
haven't
least
moved.
but at least that's less painful than sitting through the delay
Yeah.
and getting you know.
Alcohol also helps.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Have you ever slept the entire flight like woke
Oh
up?
yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I've had those few occasions where I've gotten the bed, you know, where you get to stretch out, get
You
your
also travel like
Stretch
every
out.
other day,
Hamilton. All right. Before we get to Jake's,
Amazing.
this is a cool interview he's got, by the way, with.
You guys have a lot of great stuff on the show today. You guys always
Yeah.
have great stuff on this show.
Just to tease ahead, toward the end of
Sure.
the hour, we're going to have our friends from Griffin MSI. It's Space Week, World
Yeah.
Space Week.
Yeah.
It's a big event. It's like, remember Shark Week on
Yeah.
Geographic? This
It's still a thing.
still a thing.
Yeah.
Very big deal.
Yeah.
Space Week, okay? And so the folks from the Henry Crown Space Center are actually going to bring in some artifacts.
Some large ones.
That's cool.
I don't know how big.
They're at their facility at the museum. They have artifacts like the Apollo 8 module. That
That's
would be
cool.
fun. And the SpaceX Dragon spacecraft. Also smaller artifacts that contributed to helping us live in space. Like Chicagoan Mae Jemison's biofeedback belt.
Biofeedback belt. I'm curious about this artifact because I'm wondering if like it's got, you know, 1/1000th of the computing power of that watch that Jake has on right
Well,
now.
don't they
You know,
say
it's a
that, like,
biofeedback belt they're bringing in?
We have more technology in our phones today than was used to go to the moon back in the 60s.
That's wild.
Like that's
a wild
terrifying to me.
thing.
That's
Yeah.
terrifying.
Okay, a couple trending topics to hit on before we get to Jake's interview. First of all, there's something happening with LeBron James today.
Okay.
I reacted the exact same way.
Is there though?
Okay, exactly.
Is there though?
So it's being dubbed the second decision. My reaction was just like Jake's. Do you remember the first decision, Caitlin? Cody, you look a little bit.
Yeah, no, tell me everything.
It absolutely flopped. It was like he hyped making a decision about his future with either the Cavs or the Heat.
Okay.
And he basically got everyone, all the eyeballs of the basketball world, worldwide on him live, only to tell his hometown crowd, I'm leaving town and taking my talents to South Beach. You probably heard that phrase, I'm taking my talents to South Beach.
It was a huge
flop. I mean,
it
like,
was
literally
the
he gained no fans.
antithesis of Jordan's I'm back.
Yes, yeah,
It was the
exactly.
complete opposite of I'm back.
So people are saying, so this is happening this morning. I mean, actually, it might happen during the show, so maybe we'll have an update later in the hour.
Can I give you my theory?
Yeah, let's hear the theory.
What is today?
October 7th.
The first day of Amazon Prime Day.
So he's doing a commercial.
And I think he's got a partnership with Prime. I think he's going to
Okay.
end up being like some sort of, I think it's going to have something to do with Amazon Prime.
And then
I literally was going to make a joke that it was him doing like a commercial.
okay, if it is a commercial.
Yeah.
I could be
the
wrong.
judgment there, but if
I could
it
be wrong.
is, think about how universally panned.
Yeah.
The
Well,
first
because people
decision
are
was. And now
going
he's
buying
doing
tickets.
this.
People are like
Exactly.
for the final Lakers game thinking, but he
Caitlin,
wants
ticket prices skyrocketed for the last home regular season game for the Lakers
because they think he might be.
He's going to retire.
But
based on this.
he's going to want the what they call the retirement tour.
Yeah.
He's not going to announce his retirement like, you know, he's going to want the whole thing.
Yeah, but you guys, why would he care what people think about him?
That's a good question.
You know what I mean? Like if I was going to imagine.
However, this
Amazon
would
is going to give him to.
That's true, but this would
they
further
worry about their
stain his
legacy.
He doesn't need the money, and exactly, this will further stain his the second decision, and then it turns out to be an ad.
Yeah.
Like I'm actually hoping it's a legit announcement.
Yeah, I hope it is too,
You know?
but also I don't blame him.
It's like
you know?
it's his was it Geraldo with
jet.
Capone's?
Oh yeah, where
It's
it
his
was empty.
It's his Capone safe. For that, you know what we're talking about?
So you guys both think it's going to be a flop?
I
think it's an Amazon commercial.
Yeah.
I would.
I really do think. I think it's not a coincidence that today's Prime Day.
That is comical.
And I think he has
that's
I
an
think he
interesting
has an
idea.
Amazon deal.
Okay.
I think he has an.
Does
We'll have to stand by to see.
so.
All right, fast food fans, we got you covered today as well. Fast food fans. And this segment is, by the way, not brought to you by either Taco Bell or Arby's, but they both have
At this point, we should be
deals.
brought to
I know, because I talk about Taco Bell so much.
Dude, I love that you love Taco Bell so much. It makes me, because I too love Taco Bell.
How
I don't
many
love
times have you
fast
gone
food.
back to get Taco Bell since that came out?
None.
Double decker?
None, but I had
Just had
two.
it here?
I had it here, and
Your
then my
dad
dad
got you
brought me one later that day. And I will go back. I really will. Do we have a screenshot of what Arby's is? Oh, here's the Taco Bell. This is for National Taco Day. This is called
Taco Latte.
Taco Latte.
At Taco Bell, it was the Choco Taco.
It was the
that-
Choco Taco.
Remember,
This
right?
is salt.
Was that
and
specifically Taco Bell?
I thought I think at Taco Bell it was called
The Taco
Taco
Latte?
Latte. Right?
the
Choco
Choco
Latte.
Taco. Right.
Choco
I think you're right. So this is being debuted for National Taco Day. They've also got $1 Cantina chicken soft tacos.
What's in that bad boy? Is that ice cream?
I mean, it's basically what do you call it? A drumstick?
Yeah, it's like
a drumstick in the shape of a taco.
Looks fantastic. All right, Arby's, not to be outdone by Taco Bell. Arby's got something today. Look at that. Steak has been nuggeted. Okay, so they're really Jake is not a red meat guy. You're from Texas,
here's
man.
my argument: is that an ad for food is the best it's ever going to look.
Yeah, right.
And there's a good chance that when you get it, it's going to look about 15% as good as it does in the picture.
Right, right.
Which means that the food you're getting, go back up to that picture if you don't mind. That's as good as it could possibly look, and it probably won't look that good when you get it in your car.
No.
Yeah.
I'm just going to wait,
look
hold on.
very
Wait, I have a question. Is Arby's a sponsor of the show?
I don't think
Not
so.
that we know of.
Wait, how are we? Because it's great.
Maybe it's past tense. They were a sponsor.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. Looks great.
Sauce, like a dipping sauce?
Well, listen to this. All right. It comes in 3 forms, Caitlin.
Yeah.
Sandwich form, nugget form, and then it also comes in a bowl. Okay, so served with Havarti cheese, crispy onions, pickles, and mayo. I would try it.
Wait,
Okay.
yeah, I'm on board with that. That's the sandwich. The steak nugget bowl is a bed of white cheddar mac and cheese topped with nuggets and crispy onions. All right, that's probably bomb.
Arby's.
I mean, doesn't it? I don't know. You
Bringing it.
guys ever hear that like the chef salad is everything that's left over in a cafeteria and they put it in a salad called the chef salad? That feels like all the meat we had left over at the end of
At the
yesterday.
Arby's, and
we're putting it.
It's like Velveeta cheese.
Yeah, exactly.
No, Velveeta cheese is the cheese version of
Yes.
the
My
chef
kids
salad.
love the Velveeta.
It was good.
But nobody else is doing steak, right? I'm sure Taco Bell has a little steak taco.
No one's
but-
doing steak over a bed of rice.
I mean, at a fast
There's a
food
place called
restaurant.
Chipotle, literally right
But
across
yeah,
the
but like
street.
fast food, like
That's
a
pretty fast.
McDonald's, you know. I don't know. I'd give it a try.
I would too.
It's probably really chewy.
If they're a sponsor of this show, I
Some
can't
protein
wait.
in there. All right, Jake, we ready to talk
good.
about this Jared Leto?
Yeah,
stuff,
were
man?
you a Tron fan back in the day?
So I was introduced too early. My dad rented Tron.
Sure.
It was back in the 80s. The original.
Yeah, original
one.
came out in '82.
And he really hyped it up to
Yeah.
us. And I think I was just too. It was boring to me. I remember.
Yeah,
it's like an 8-year-old.
It's
you know?
definitely one of those movies that
Yeah.
it was of the moment, and if you
Right.
watched it because we all have those movies that I'm sure you'll probably want to introduce certain movies to your kids,
Oh,
and they're
for
going to
sure.
go, "What is this?" I think Tron is that way for a lot of people, which is why when Tron 2 came out a few years back, Tron Legacy, that was kind of like the Tron for this generation.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So this new one's called Tron Ares. It stars Academy Award winner Jared Leto, who stars as this sort of soldier in the digital world. Tron is all about going into this computer world called the Grid. And he is this soldier in the Grid who wants to exist in the real world. The problem is they haven't figured out the programming, and so for about 30 minutes, he is an awesome soldier. He can
In the real
fight
world.
in the real world.
So he dominates.
He dominates
in the grid.
for about half an hour.
Okay.
And then craps out.
Okay.
So this character of Ares wants to find what he's referring to as permanence. He wants to come to our world and he wants to exist. He doesn't want to crap out after 30 minutes. He wants to flourish in our world. So I brought that idea up to him in our interview, and I wanted to know that word permanence. What does that mean to an actor? Because these days, you're only as hot as what the last movie you put out. You know, you're always fighting for that next sort of morsel of success. So I spoke with him about the word, what the word permanence means for an actor. Guys, an honor. Thank you for taking the time. I appreciate you.
Thanks, man. You have a great voice.
I appreciate you. Thank you very much. I took non-regional diction. I used to have a southern accent, so,
Really?
so just to kind of get rid of that.
I would like you to meet Ares, the ultimate soldier.
Jared, Ares is, throughout this film, he's looking for permanence. For Ares, it means not disintegrating after 29 minutes. I'd love to know what an actor's equivalent to that word means. What does it mean for an actor to find permanence in this industry?
It's an interesting question. I don't think it's possible. I mean, I think that's one of the beautiful things about the business, also one of the challenging things about the business, and maybe any business in every life, is the impermanence of life. So he's in a sense struggling what we all struggle with, but coming from a world where he has some permanence, you know, until they pull the plug. So, you know, 29 minutes is a pretty short amount of time. He's pretty efficient, though, and makes good use of it. But it is an interesting question to think about.
A malfunctioning program who wants to live. Why is that? It's just a feeling. Fascinating.
You know, nothing's guaranteed out there, and what I do think it did in this film is it provided a certain amount of intensity and drama, and a limit to what was possible, and a reason to want to continue to move forward and to experience life a little bit more, because Ares is on a journey. You know, he starts as one type of being and then kind of evolves into another. But a really good question.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you
guys. Got me thinking.
You know, he's crazy. He's one of those actors who's been working a long time. When you think about like how long he's been, you know, I was thinking back, like this year is the 25th anniversary of a movie he did. I was talking about it earlier, called Requiem for a Dream, which if you've never seen it.
And then he was in Fight Club as well.
He was in Fight Club.
That's not 25 years, but
that's 26 years.
What?
Came out in '99.
How
Fight
old
Club.
is he?
I mean,
he's not aged.
He's not. Yeah, because remember at Fight Club he had the blonde, the very striking blonde hair, and remember he got the crap beat out of him by Edward Norton because he wanted to destroy something beautiful. Yeah.
That's
he
right.
Seems so sweet.
Very chill. You know, here's what I'll tell you about Jared Leto. I first interviewed him when I was working as a reporter in Houston, and he said, hey, you know, like the band. He's a part of a band called 30 Seconds to Mars. Yeah. And said, hey, you know, if you know, we're coming through Houston. If you ever want to come to the show, and you know, that's such a Hollywood thing. You know, sure, yeah, Jared Leto, I'd love to be your guest. Yeah. And a couple of days later, I got a message like, hey, Jared got to
No way.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great show.
Did you wind up going?
I did.
Did you see him at the show, or was it?
No, I didn't see. Not in the way that we did Bill Bufford. You know,
but he still remembered.
He did.
I have
he
a
hooked
question
me up.
about celebrities.
Yes.
I'm sitting next to you, and I can smell your soap. I've said this before.
You can smell my what?
Your soap. Like.
Okay.
Jake smells like soap.
Yeah. You don't smell that?
No. About to though. Come on. Oh yeah, you do smell like smoke, man. Soap, not smoke. Not smoke.
You were gonna get me fired.
Soap.
Soap.
Okay,
You do smell like soap.
I am sitting next to you, and I can smell your soap. When you get next to these celebrities, do they have like a certain smell about them? Like, do they smell like perfume?
That's such an interesting question.
I get that question, like, what does so-and-so smell like? And I always answer, I don't know. Like,
I bet a girl would know.
Probably. Well, the same way, like, I get asked a lot, like, oh, what sort of shoes was she wearing? And I don't know. I know nothing about fashion, or, you know. And I also, like, that thing you and I just did, I'm not going to do in a room with Meryl Streep.
Sure,
like,
you touch these celebrities.
Listen, we don't have it racked up, but I've seen a sandwich made of Jack Black, Jake Hamilton, and was it The Rock, or was it
Jason Momoa?
Yes.
Jason Momoa.
They were those guys. What is
they got very cozy.
like?
Success and good choices.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
I bet he smells like good hair product.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, you know, I shower, you know,
which is a good move.
I shower.
Really good
let me ask you, I'm a 2-shower-a-day guy. I'm a shower in the morning and a shower at night.
No wonder he smells like smoke.
I'm a shower. Well, I shower in the morning to wake up, to kind of get my day started.
I take like a half shower in the morning.
Sure.
After I work out.
Sure.
And then like.
You work out here.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like a hair wash. Yeah. Girls don't want.
It's different. What's different?
Some girls do actually, but you know. Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot. See how my questioning on this movie went?
I have one other. By the way, I shower once a week, whether I need one or not, whether I'm dirty or clean.
Wait, what?
Once a week.
Nah.
Caitlin. I wouldn't show up to work.
Well, speaking of celebrities, I heard that they sometimes do that.
Yeah, that's the, you know.
Well, there's a whole like parenting thing where like
you're not supposed to wash your kids.
Yeah, like we're only bathing
That's what I'm talking about.
Jake is still. He's never having.
You guys are. You guys are really selling kids for me.
Okay, before we
They're
go to
smelly and they're terrifying. You should have 8 of them.
you'll wake up in the middle of the night.
Yeah, you'll wake up in the middle of the night, they'll be staring you in the eyes, and they'll smell awful. You should have one.
Do you want me to layer it on a little more? This morning, Bodie was awake. As I told you, I had to go get Grady, and I was carrying him into the bedroom, and all of a sudden I feel pee down my front.
Been there.
And I was like, what? He had a diaper on, but the diaper was so full that the pee was just dribbling out onto my
Which is actually a remarkable feat, because the diapers these days, by the way, Jake, diaper technology has...
It's unbelievable.
I just want people
It's absolutely unbelievable how much liquid these things can hold.
This is just what they say on the show. You should hear the commercial breaks of this show.
And did I shower after I got pee on me? No. Just dried it off and went on with
you sometimes just have to move on with your day. Quick question for Jake. He's already demiking because he can't stand us any longer. Do I have to see the other Trons?
You do not. You do not. I think they respect and recognize, to your point, that the original Tron is a movie of its time, and a lot of the modern day kids are not going to have the attention span to stick with it.
Yeah.
So it presents the idea within the first 5 minutes. There's a little cliff notes of here's everything you need to know about the rules of the grid, and it's a whole new story.
Got it.
Wow.
Okay, that's good.
Right.
That's perfect. That's a good model.
Cool.
That's a good model. All right, we'll check it out. We are going to...
You didn't shower after...
You're getting peed on.
No, of course not.
So actually, I get it.
It's clean, right? It's
Change clothes.
What's that called?
Quick little wipe down.
Sure.
Yeah.
No way would you shower after getting kids pee on you.
We're going to go to a quick break. There it is. There's the sandwich.
You're telling me you couldn't smell him. Come on, Jake.
Listen,
who pulled that? Brad, was that you?
A lot of things were going through my mind in that
done.
moment, and hail was not one of them.
But would you say Jason smelled like success and
Good choices. Yeah.
Hail?
Love that.
I didn't get that.
No, I said I was thinking of a lot of things, and hail was not one of them.
Oh, inhale.
Inhale was
inhaling was not one of them. Got it. You were holding your breath.
That was a moment.
All right, team, we are going to do a quick break right now, but when we come back, there is a local nonprofit that has figured out perhaps the key to fundraising. They've figured out how to make a single day, it's an all-day event, into a $25 million fundraiser.
Whoa!
Yes. All right, so they've like unlocked the secret formula. We're gonna catch up with Shane Morris, who is the executive director with the agency called Invest for Kids, when we come back after this short break,
Maybe LeBron James
everybody.
is doing this, you know?
We should check the LeBron James Twitter feed.
I'm telling you, it's gonna
be right back.
I'm telling you.
Welcome back.
I was just watching the LeBron thing. Okay.
Break it down for us, Anthony.
Well, I don't know what VSOP is, but it has to do with the brand Hennessy. Okay, it's a bottle. So it is. Jake was half right. Doesn't have to do with Amazon.
So it's a commercial.
Hennessy, yes.
He's an influencer.
Yes. Oh, VSOP. A very special variety of cognac.
Oh. Stop. That's all it was?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel about that, Anthony?
I think it's silly, and but yeah, here's who you should ask that question to, Caitlin. There was people after he announced that he was going to make the second decision that bought tickets for the last home Lakers game. Prices skyrocketed, so maybe one of those people would be kind of.
They're not going to be happy about it.
Ticked, but he'll be playing year 23 in the NBA. Nothing
and maybe
regarding
free
his.
booze for everybody.
Yeah, you would hope.
Bummer. All right, let's get into some good stuff, eh? 25 million raised for Chicago kids in need. So as funding cuts ripple across the country, and especially in Chicago, nonprofits serving children are under extraordinary pressure. So since 2009, Invest for Kids has turned a one-day investment conference into one of the city's most effective funding engines, raising more than $25 million for 105 youth serving organizations. So the 17th annual conference takes place on October 21st at the Harris Theater, bringing together top investors and community leaders. Among this year's grantees is the 125-year-old Juvenile Protective Association, which provides school-based therapy and teacher support across 24 schools and 16 neighborhoods. The children JPA serves reflect the urgency of IFK's work. So joining us this morning to dive into this is Shane Morris. He's the executive director for Invest for Kids. So Shane, good morning to you, first of all. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing well. How are you? Thanks for having me.
So let's get right to it. The burning question: how did Invest for Kids turn one-day investment conference into such a powerful funding engine for Chicago's youth?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Let me sort of give you a little background on Invest for Kids. We were founded with a dual mission of putting on a world-class investment conference in Chicago and using all the proceeds from that conference to support the city's robust nonprofit ecosystem that is serving our most in need youth. This conference started 17 years ago by our co-founders, Ron Levin and Ben Kohler, both successful businessmen and investors. There's a whole origin story for Invest for Kids that involves a cocktail napkin on an airplane ride home from the Ira Sohn conference in New York City, which for the last 30 years has had a similar model to us. Ron and Ben said, we should bring this idea to Chicago. And they expected the first conference to be a smaller affair, but we're able to line up some really big names like Sam Zell and Ken Griffin, and we're off and running.
So wait, unpack it a little more for me, because I'm having trouble understanding how it translates into dollars for nonprofits. So folks sign up to learn how to invest, right? They get to see these awesome speakers. They pay a certain amount, but so does a portion of the admission fee go to these nonprofits? Yep. Is that how it works?
That's right. So every single dollar that comes through a ticket sale or a corporate sponsorship or a direct donation actually goes right back out the door to support the organizations that we select each year. Because actually Ron, Ben, and their families underwrite the entire costs associated with the conference.
That is awesome. And if I am like a Sam Zell, Shane, if I am like a Sam Zell and I have that kind of name recognition, I have that kind of expertise in investing, it'll be in the back of my head when I say yes to give a speech or give that, hey, all this is going to be helping tons of different nonprofits around Chicago.
That's exactly right. So it's a win-win for everyone involved. All of our speakers come to us knowing that the ideas they share from the stage are going to be well appreciated by the audience, which is made up primarily of finance and investment professionals. But not only that, but that they're also supporting our ability to raise dollars that will give back to the community. So our speakers are really excited to do this, and our audience comes not only for the great ideas and the networking opportunities, but knowing that every dollar they put into attending the conference, again, goes back out the door for good work in the city.
Picking the nonprofits that you guys are donating to, have you guys already gotten your list put together? What if there's a nonprofit that's watching right now that says, I could really use the help this year?
Yeah, my guess is there are many. It is a really challenging time for nonprofits to raise funds. We have, excitingly, we've selected the 10 organizations who will be receiving the funds from this year's conference. But every year we have an open application process, kicks off in the winter, January, February. Any organization that works with youth in need in Chicago or the immediate surrounding areas are invited to apply. In some ways, our criteria are broad, in other ways specific. Broad in that we invite all types of youth-serving organizations to apply, from early childhood through college and career. Our focus areas include education, mentoring, enrichment, social services, college and career readiness. Where we get a bit more specific is that we're looking for organizations at a particular stage of growth. And that's a budget between $1 and $5 million, and a grant that we give, which is typically around $200,000, will likely be the largest grant that they've ever received. And it's our desire to really catch an organization at a significant moment of inflection for where our investment can have the biggest impact and help them take things to the next level.
That's really cool. So you guys are now in what year for you guys? How long does this go back?
Yeah, started in 2009. Okay. So our 17th annual conference is coming up here in 2 weeks.
Very good. So is it about 10? You said 10 nonprofits are going to be getting a grant this year. Is that kind of how it usually works, about 10 per year?
Yeah, that number has slowly grown over time. 10 is the most we've ever supported in 1 year. So it's a record year for us in that way. It's a record year for us also in the amount of dollars we've been able to raise so far and continue to raise in the lead up to the conference.
Looking back,
and that has a lot to do, I think, with the kind of the moment that we're in terms of the challenging funding environments for nonprofits, but also a Chicago finance and investment community that's like looking to step up and really help fill the gap.
Looking back over the years, I'm sure you guys keep track of where this money goes. Are there any stories that stand out to you that made the biggest difference in children's lives in Chicago?
Yeah, gosh, so many of them. One of the ones, and you actually already introduced them, was the Juvenile Protection Agency. I want to call attention to them because they've actually, this will be the second time we've awarded them a grant. They're in this year's cohort. We first awarded JPA a grant in 2021. And when they came to us, they were clearly making a big impact, but did not yet have the tools to most effectively track, analyze, and report on students' mental health outcomes. And that was holding them back in a number of ways. And now their staff have comprehensive data to improve service quality. Their school partners are able to access that data to provide better services to students as well. Also, and I think this is really important because we hear this oftentimes from the organizations we support, the systems that we were able to help them build to track data actually opened new funding sources that they couldn't access before because of the level of rigor with their tracking. And so fast forward to 2025, JPA continues to be a standout local nonprofit, and they're seeking to grow their impact and reach even more students through a number of new innovative program models. And there's this really great teacher training program called Connect to Kids. It's helping to uncover causes of disruptive behavior and strengthen classrooms, and we're just thrilled to help them with this expansion.
That's really cool.
I think JPA is a really representative of the types of organizations we support.
What a huge help to that organization and so many others. I'm like looking at the Harris Theater right now. We happen to be able to see it from Studio 32 here. There's a finite amount of space in that theater, I know. This event's coming up in a couple of weeks. Before we let you go, Shane, any tickets left? Who's the big draw this year, and what do our viewers need to know about how to get involved if they are curious?
Yeah, thanks for asking. We hope you'll come across the street and join us on the 21st. We've got a fantastic speaker lineup. It's headlined by Byron Trott of BDT and MSD, as well as Kathleen McCarthy, who leads global real estate at Blackstone. They'll be joined by a group of really insightful asset managers who are sharing their best festival ideas. We'll kick things off with lunch. We'll close with a cocktail hour. It's going to be a super fun afternoon. all in support of some terrific organizations. Folks can find more information and purchase tickets on our website, investforkidschicago.org. And I'd also encourage folks to check out all of this year's grantees, like JPA, to learn more about them and how to get involved directly.
Very cool. I love this. It's so smart and so effective. Shane Morris, thank you so much. Good luck for this now, what, 16th, 17th year? Hope it continues for many years to come, sir.
Thanks so much, Caitlin and Anthony. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, you too. Have a good one. All right, it's 10:34. We are going to take a quick break, but when we come back, as promised, we're going to have the preservationist folks from down in the tiny town of Kangley, Illinois, which is right near Streeter, way southwest. I believe you said LaSalle County, right?
I believe.
They have spent the last 14 years restoring an historic cemetery in that community.
Yeah.
We're going to talk with the leader of this project. Some of these gravestones date all the way back to the early 1800s. John Kettman, one of the project leaders, is going to join us to tell us much more about this historical project when we come back right after this.
Welcome back. So this week is World Space Week, the largest space event on Earth. And let's give you some background here. The UN first recognized World Space Week in 1999 to get more people interested in learning about space. And this year, the theme for the global celebration is living in space, to get people more interested in the possibility of living and working in space. Wow, look at this display you guys have. That is so fun. It's beautiful. Okay, so we're talking about the Griffin Museum of Science and Industry, how they're celebrating space all year round at the Henry Crown Space Center, where you can see these large artifacts that you see on your screen here, like the Apollo 8 module and the SpaceX Dragon spacecraft.
Which is what we're looking at right there. That's the Apollo 8 module. Okay.
Wow. Smaller artifacts are also there that contributed to helping us live in space, like Chicago and May Jemison's biofeedback belt, which we want to dive into the science behind that too. But joining us now in studio is Dr. Vula Saradakis. She's the Griffin MSI head curator and NASA Solar System ambassador. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Wow.
Yeah, so first, let's start off with what you brought in, because I'm excited to see. It looks like some space food, perhaps? Is
Space food, space artifact, and a playing card game from the late 60s, just before we landed on the moon. This is when we're still dreaming, and it is a great example of pop culture. It was during the height of the space race between the United States and the USSR. are. And you would play this game in your living room, learn more about space, and the objective was to travel around the solar system, and you could stop for fuel, you would land on the planets, as you see here, and you even learn about the friendly satellites. If you land on this card, you take 2 cards. However, if you pull the Sputnik card, you lose 2 turns. So it's very indicative of that space race,
Cold War era. Wow, that's fascinating.
Yes, and the artistry is just gorgeous.
It really is cool.
Very vintagey.
Yeah, definitely. So what's this here?
Yeah, so we're looking at this piece right here. Not the base, but the piece of Skylab. And Skylab was our first home in space from the United States. It was operated by NASA, and it was just the United States, launched in 1973, visited by 3 crews, and it was our transition into living in space for longer periods of time. And it really sets the stage for the International Space Station, which now we live on longer, and it's a collaborative international effort, but really this was our first venture into space.
And this piece is what, a piece of a wall, or
a piece of the outer hull of Skylab, which then created all this media frenzy in 1979 when it came down. It was like the first viral moment in space, well before the internet.
Can you tell us, is this how thick the walls of spacecraft are that people are in?
Yeah, so it's just a piece. It depends on which part of the spacecraft you're looking at.
Yeah.
And it came down in pieces, mostly in Western Australia. No one was injured or hurt. So this would just be a piece of that outer hull. That is on a thinner part
did it break apart in the atmosphere when it came on re-entry?
Yes.
And this is like a fragment of it.
Correct.
Oh, wow.
Well, this one's, you could see that it's cut intentionally.
Right.
But yeah, and then of course, living in space longer and longer, you know, the food early on was just very bland and freeze-dried. It was about nutrition, not about taste so much. But with the International Space Station, now you wanted to bring foods that the astronauts would enjoy more of, and it would taste a little bit more like home. So 3 examples that we have here is creamed spinach.
Is this real? Like real?
It is.
So this is modern day. This is a modern day 2025 space
modern day. No, I would say it's more like from about 20 or so years ago.
Oh, okay.
But you can see there's actually Russian on the top here. So you would add water, right? So creamed spinach, because now, of course, we want our astronauts to get more nutrients. And then here we have peach ambrosia. So if you're from the South, you would know what that is. It's a fruit salad made with peaches and whipped cream.
I have heard of that.
Oh, yes.
I have heard of that.
So you can
I heard
see,
it's delicious.
like keeping up the morale and, you know, getting you excited varieties of food.
Sure.
These are kind of small portions, hey?
They are.
Are they always small?
Well, they look small, but when you add the water, it expands and you get a little bit more of it.
Okay.
How do you add water in space? You have to. Oh, you have to.
You put it.
Just put that together.
Connect it right here, and it'll just expand. And you don't want the water floating around.
No, because they're like droplets.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So everything's pretty controlled, and everything's rationed. You know, in terms of what the astronauts are going to eat or consume.
Yeah.
But even something like tea with sugar, you know, just to bring a little bit more comfort.
Do they have hot water that they could pour in?
They do. Yes, yes.
Can you speak to the astronauts that were just stuck in space for how many more months than they were supposed to be? How did they ration food like this? Do they have like a ton of these up there?
Yeah, that's a great question. And yeah, they had enough food for the astronauts. They always have to kind of just prepare for these kinds of unexpected situations. But there was never any question about them being able to stay or live on ISS for that longer period of time before they could come back. And certainly there's always, you can see how much space this takes, relatively none, until you add the water. So there's always enough food and rations.
That's really good to know. We were, I mean, following, it was Butch and Suni.
Yes.
Right? They're just following their, I'm like wondering.
They're what, for 2 weeks or something?
Yeah, and then they wound up being months and months. I'm wondering if there's going to be a movie that comes, you know, like, you know what I'm saying?
Potentially.
Okay, so let's go to the exhibit itself at MSI, Griffin MSI. how special is the collection over there? We saw this, what we're looking at right now, that is the Apollo 8
command module.
Command module. So tell us exactly what this thing did back in the day.
Oh, this is an amazing artifact. It's a loan from Air and Space, Smithsonian Air and Space, and it is an amazing story. This was the first mission to actually travel to the moon, and it was Lovell, Anders, and Borman were the 3 astronauts on board, and it was the first time that astronauts left low Earth orbit to travel to another celestial body. First time they're seeing the Earth as a planet, because now they're getting far enough from it to see it. First time that they travel to the moon, they orbit the moon. First to see the far side of the moon, humans. And that amazing Earthrise photo that was taken by Bill Anders, which is the first time that humans were seeing that Earthrise.
They were in that module during all that?
They were in that module,
okay.
Yes.
And then were they in that on re-entry as well?
Yes.
Oh my
yes.
God.
So talk about extended periods of time. The mission was approximately a week. And this was even the first time that humans were flying on that huge Saturn V rocket. They moved the mission up because 4 months, less training, because they wanted to make sure they beat the Russians to the moon.
Yeah.
So it was really a nail-biting mission. It was just amazing.
And that, it was the year,
1968 in December.
1968.
And the first live televised programming with the astronauts on board, the famous Christmas broadcast.
I love that.
And you could just go there and see it in person at Griffin MSI. Caitlin, have you taken your kids there yet?
No,
Got
no.
to.
But I want to know about this biofeedback belt.
Oh, yeah.
Break that down. What is that all about?
Oh, yeah. And that's another great example of us living in space for longer, trying to understand the effects of space on the human body. And so this was a biofeedback belt and a garment, cotton garment, worn by Mae Jemison on her mission in space. And it was developed by a doctor physiologist working for NASA by the name of Dr. Patricia Cowings. And the idea is that it would give the feedback to the machines and computers that she was working with back on Earth, to study the effects of sleep apnea and space sickness, poor sleep quality, so that we could get more information about how to counteract these effects and syndromes, so that we could stay in space longer and longer. And you have to remember, this was the early 90s, so it was before ISS, when they were still trying to understand these effects on the human body. So it really was another great game changer in trying to understand what the effects are, so that we could stay in space longer like they do now on ISS.
I'm curious, because we're all wearing these Apple Watches now, which give you, like, you know, your heart rate and how well you sleep and when you were dreaming and like all these things that you would never get. I just wondering, since 1990, so what is that, like 35 years ago?
Right.
What the biofeedback stuff, I mean, I'm guessing it's all built into this, into the astronaut uniform.
Yes, so there would have been cables and wires connected to that biofeedback belt, which was sending this information back down.
Really cool.
Doctor, we're getting the wrap, but I have to know.
Yes.
Would you ever go to space?
I would.
You would?
I would. I would.
You
would. I would. I definitely. I grew up with my brother. We would make the cartons, spaceships out of big boxes. Loved space. Always wanted to go to space. I would.
Maybe it'll be like, you know, tourism will be like at the point where we can all go. Okay, before we let you go, though, can you run us through Space Week at Griffin MSI? What do you need to, hey, it's finally raining out. Maybe people need something indoor to do. What's your message to the audience this morning?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a fun week. We encourage people, we want them to come see the Henry Crown Space Center, learn about how people can be involved in space. It's very inspirational, and we really want to excite the next generation of explorers.
Okay, Dr. Voula Saradakis, head curator and NASA Solar System ambassador. Thank you so much for being in studio and bringing these awesome artifacts. That's why she's got the gloves on.
I know.
These are artifacts. We cannot touch it. Thanks, Doctor.
Very nice.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we are back with the cemetery folks who are preserving this historic cemetery in the southwest suburbs.
It was LaSalle County.
Yeah, LaSalle County, when we come back right after this.
Lately, my
Okay, we are, because of a technical issue, still waiting on the cemetery, folks. So I keep making promises I can't deliver on.
You know what?
I'm sorry.
It's October. If we have to bring them in another day this month, we'll do it.
We'll do it.
We'll do it.
We can improvise like that. So we're going to hit a couple other trending stories before we sign off. One of them is kind of carrying on our little space theme we got going. And I bet Dr. Vula would be able to comment on this as well, but we just heard that a newly discovered asteroid just whizzed past the Earth.
Don't like that.
No, 3 feet by 10 feet, which apparently can't do a whole lot of damage, because I guess it does kind of disintegrate a little bit on entry, but it can create one of those fireball streaks. Do you remember that from a few years back over Russia? It was like a fireball over Russia. It like took out power all around that region near like the Ural Mountains, I feel like.
The problem is too, what I've heard, now this could be wrong, but that these asteroids, if they don't see them coming, it's because they're coming from the other side of the sun. And so this
might have been the case, because it says newly discovered here.
Yeah.
And it passed right by Antarctica on September 30th. So just a week ago, 9 p.m. And it was only 266 miles above the Earth's surface, which is really not that far away. That means it's closer than the International Space Station.
I don't love it, but it says
I don't love it.
The city killer asteroid in 2024, which has a slight chance of striking the moon, had an estimated diameter of up to 300 feet, or about the size of a 30-story building.
Can you imagine the impact? But like, if you look at the surface of the moon, Caitlin, all those craters up there, those were caused by something. And there are like huge craters on, you know, that on the Earth there.
Yeah, of course.
Like underwater and.
Yes.
And some of them, it's under the radar for some reason. Last time I went to Arizona, because I've always been curious about this, I took Theo to a place called Meteor Crater. Have you ever seen pictures of it?
I don't think so.
It is so cool. It is absolutely enormous, and you can just see where an asteroid
it's not surprising,
slammed into the Earth.
Yeah.
Completely open. It's not covered by a forest. It's not covered by an ocean. So you get the full, like once you walk out, you know that moment when you go to a pro sports event, that moment that you get out of the tunnel and you see the stadium for the first, you know what I mean? It's that moment. The moment when you see Meteor Crater, because there's a little guest visitor center, you go through a door and then you look out and you can the scale of it will take your breath away.
My question is, and it's going to be a silly question, does it just disintegrate upon contact with the Earth? Where is it?
Well, it's all in pieces. Exactly. Yeah. It's just like broken up in the ground, burned up. All the stuff is just burned. But there's little meteorites, I'm sure, down there.
It really puts things into perspective, okay? And when we were doing that segment, I didn't even answer a question.
There it is. Thank you so much.
Amazing.
Exactly. Okay, you see the visitor center? It's that building on the bottom left. So you pull up, you park your car right there. There's the parking lot, the blacktop. You go through that white building, and you can't like hike the rim or anything like that. There's erosion and things like that. You can't hike to the bottom anymore. But you can. There's a little walking path, and you really get an idea for the scale of it. But it is, I want to say, a mile across or something wild, and it's like a quarter-mile deep. It is so cool to see, and a lot of people skip this when they go to Arizona. They always go to Red Rock or Sedona.
Wow.
But I would recommend checking that out. It's really cool.
So you asked if I had brought my kids there, and I haven't.
Oh,
and I'm wondering if Birdie's getting to the age where she would understand space, and she looks at the stars and the moon. But as even adults, if you go to something like that, it just makes you realize how small and insignificant we are.
Yeah.
We're just like these little dots on a floating rock in space.
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And then we get stressed out about our coffee.
I have that exact thought like way too often. Actually, I induce that thought when I get too stressed.
Exactly. If your anxiety goes through the roof, you kind of think about that, and it's like, should I really be stressed out about this?
Yeah, it can have a therapeutic effect.
And also like how short life is.
Exactly.
And how vulnerable
We're blip on the radar.
Sorry if this is stressing you out.
I think it's de-stressing me to hear this and like think about it.
Good.
All right, one other trending topic that we want to mention before we go: American Airlines. Guess what? They're putting power back into the hands of the traveling public here, Caitlin. Get this.
Okay.
All right, you've been in this situation before where you have your carry-on bag. Well, I'm not saying you. The proverbial
Everyone.
you.
Yes.
You've been in the situation where you got your carry-on bags, you're kind of waiting your turn to get on the plane, and you're kind of watching the overhead bins fill up. You're like, oh, I don't know if mine's gonna fit. So in an effort to speed up this whole deal, American Airlines started phasing out those bag sizers where you put your bag in and it gives you like parameters, like, hey, does yours fit or not? They're doing away with that, and the gate agents are going to be using their own discretion, and so they're actually going to defer to the public a little bit on this. Like, hey, no, I've brought this on before, and I'm going to bring it on again. This is apparently going to streamline the boarding process a little more. I would think it'd have the exact opposite effect. But those sizers, they're not going to be used anymore. Apparently, they'll still be on display in airport lobbies to use as like kind of a guidance thing. Yeah. But yeah.
So what happens? Like, isn't the point to do it before you get to your gate so that you could get rid of your stuff if you had to? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
like, are they just going to take it then as like a check-on?
Have you ever been getting on the plane, the jetway, you're right about to get on the plane.
They put a tag on your bag.
Exactly. That's what I think is going to happen.
But what about like the paying for it? You know what I mean? Like, don't you have to pay for a bigger bag to be checked bag?
If you're going to have a checked bag, but no, you'll be able, I think this will actually probably save folks money because you'll be able to walk onto that jetway and they don't charge you. If they have to gate check it, they don't charge you.
You're like, oh, I thought this giant suitcase would fit my bag.
That would be that'll put this to the test. If you try to lug something huge on, I don't think that'll.
You don't?
No, I don't think that'll work.
I guess you'd get side eyes.
But yeah, it's leaving it up to the passengers and the gate agents to use their discretion.
And just so you know, it's 22 by 14 by 9 is how small this baby is.
Including wheels, including handles.
Yeah, it has to fit in there like that.
Yeah.
Do you do just a carry-on or do you do a
always
checked bag?
Just a carry-on?
Just
always,
a little backpack?
Always.
You seem like the type.
Light packer.
Yeah.
I can get you would have I could go a week with like a backpack.
Yeah, I get that.
How about you? A lot of makeup, hair dryers, curling irons.
Do I take you or do you take me?
No, I don't. I don't.
No, honestly, I don't even think. Usually when we go anywhere, it's like one suitcase for me and Grady, one suitcase for all 3 kids. So we're kind of
That's pretty good.
Too.
That's really good. And they each get a check bag too.
Yeah, let them have their own little roller. Have you seen those little scooter ones? Kids, if they travel a lot, they have like scooter suitcase things for kids.
Do they carry on, or do you have to check?
Yeah, I think it's a carry-on.
It's a good invention.
It's a little baby one.
I always, I think my wife made this comment, but like the person that invented wheels on the back. Remember, people used to like lug their suitcases.
Oh, yeah.
Whoever thought of putting wheels on that? Like it's
a good idea.
Albert Einstein.
Oh, they also have ones where they have seats on them. Like you could pop the kid on top of it and pull it, you know?
Sounds like I need to upgrade.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for Caitlin and me during the 10 o'clock hour. We got another exciting hour. Chicago Now. Gabby is here, Tia is here, and they will be joining you when we come back after this short break.
o'clock hour of Chicago Now on this very gloomy day.
It is gloomy.
Primus.
And I'm Tia Ewing. I barely could get my name out. I'm still focused on the fact, I think I told you that traffic was really bad for me today.
Horrible.
And everybody that has come into work today said the same exact thing. So I guess I feel like at least I have some friends that were sitting in traffic with me. But it was really bad out there. I was
It
like,
was. Well, because right there where you're sitting, DuSable Lakeshore Drive,
Yes.
we had a horrible crash. Was blocking a few lanes on I-55. Look, I'm a traffic reporter in the morning, so I just keep up on traffic all day. It took me an hour to get from Riverside to here. So I feel you, Tia. And it kind of just like puts you in a weird, like, lackadaisical mood.
It does.
Like you're just kind of sitting there.
Like, can we move on?
You can't go on your phone or anything like that.
But
so
I don't get upset. I just sit there and get through it. But I do feel like it was like an introduction again, because we haven't had any kind of inclement weather lately. So I felt like it was an introduction to rain again, and a lot of people forgot how to drive in rain.
Oh, let me tell you.
That's what I thought.
I heard about a lot of crashes going on. But we also have a full show going on.
We
So hopefully we
do.
can switch up the mood a bit.
Upbeat.
We have an award-winning writer, director, and filmmaker from Monterrey, Mexico, who's making a big impact here in Chicago. You might have seen him around, some of his work, especially at the Music Box. We're sitting down with Carlos Lerma.
Yes.
And also, October is National Bullying Prevention Month. Tia, I think we usually think of bullying and we think of kids and teens who are getting bullied, not adults, but it happens in your adult life for sure. So we're going to be chatting with an expert, a mental health professional, on the best ways to deal with it. But first, today marks 2 years since that October 7th attack.
It does, and we're going to talk to Cecile Shea. She's a non-resident senior fellow on security and diplomacy at the Chicago Council on Global Affairs. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule and talking to us about this. We've watched this tragedy play out for a very long time. It feels like it's been so long, especially when you see all of the bloodshed. So thank you for your time. How are you this morning?
I am great. I didn't have to go anywhere this morning, so I guess I'm one of the lucky ones.
Yeah, you can relax and talk to us this morning. You know, this is a really important topic, and one that I think a lot of people are kind of like, well, what is going on? We saw President Donald Trump, I think it was just last week, meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel. What has happened since then? Because I think a lot of people thought, you know, maybe a ceasefire deal or something would come out of that. Hostages would be released. Where are we today?
So shortly before the meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu, the president met with his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and with Tony Blair, who was the Prime Minister of Great Britain for 10 years during the end of the Israel-Palestine peace process and then throughout the Second Intifada there. And the two of them brought the president a plan for getting a ceasefire and more importantly, for rebuilding Gaza and moving forward. And the president seems to have adopted that plan, and he has laid down the law the last week or so after meeting with Mr. Netanyahu that Hamas and Israel must come to a ceasefire. Hamas must agree to it. And he has focused the attention particularly on Hamas by saying that if Hamas does not work with Israel to come up with a ceasefire, that he is not going to tell Netanyahu to stop attacking them. So both sides seem to really be listening to the president this time. But, you know, I've been hopeful so often in the last 2 years, and my hopes have been dashed. So it's really now impossible for me to be completely optimistic. But this is really the closest we've been in the last year to coming to a ceasefire, and I really hope so. As you said, you know, not only were over 1,000 Israelis killed 2 years ago, and there's still probably 20 or 30 Israeli hostages. There's 50 hostages remains that have not been turned over to their families yet. But just the death and destruction on the Palestinian side is just unbelievable. You know, at least 50,000 dead, massive hunger, children not being able to go to school, homes destroyed, lack of shelter. We really need this conflict to end so that both sides can kind of rebuild their societies, and in the case of Gaza, rebuild really the entire area.
You know, I think one thing that people think of if this Trump ceasefire deal does happen, you know, how long will it take to see some real movement happen in the Middle East, some real change for them to be able to go back to normal life? Or will it take a while? Will it really make that much of a change?
So the plan that President Trump is pushing is actually a multi-step plan. So even if we get to phase 1, you know, unfortunately a lot can go wrong in phases 2 and 3 and whatever comes in the future. But the idea is to stop the shooting, to get Israel to pull back to a border, to an area that has not yet quite been agreed to, and to get Hamas to begin to disarm, and to have some regional powers, meaning the Gulf states, the wealthy oil producers, to help to prop up a new government for the Palestinians in Gaza and probably in the West Bank. That will not be corrupt, which is a problem that the Palestinian Authority had, and that will not be overwhelmed with religion and extremism, which is the problem with Hamas, which is part of the Muslim Brotherhood, and give the Palestinians a real chance to build a country, to rebuild their society, and eventually to move toward an independent Palestinian state, which of course Prime Minister Netanyahu does not want. He has never wanted it. His father did not want it. But the Israeli people really have no choice at this point. A unitary state between the two peoples is simply not going to work with all of the anger and the death and the destruction, particularly of the last 2 years. And the world is now focusing on giving the Palestinians some hope for the future, but apart from Hamas. See, that's really, I want to stress that. I'm not blind to the fact that Hamas has started this conflict, that what they did 2 years ago was just unbelievable. And the way that they went about it has really led to this war lasting so long, because the anger, the understandable anger on the Israeli side has let Prime Minister Netanyahu take whatever actions he wanted. But both sides now really are maybe looking at their last chance, frankly, for a genuine ceasefire without just complete destruction of Gaza at this point. So I'm a little optimistic. I'm not totally optimistic, but I'm really hoping that we're going to see a ceasefire, a pullback of Israeli forces, and an attempt to establish a better interim. It would be a temporary government for the Palestinians, backed particularly by the Gulf states, that could then put the Palestinians on a route toward rebuilding and establishing some kind of normal future for their families, which is what they deserve. I mean, they did not choose this. Some of them did. Some of them participated 2 years ago. Some of them have backed Hamas. But the overwhelming number of Palestinians in Gaza and in the West Bank are appalled by what has happened and really angry at Hamas for letting it continue this long.
I think it was yesterday, it came out that President Trump had made some remarks with Netanyahu. It got a little contentious there, and he said, you know, stop being so bleeping negative, is essentially what the words were. What did you take that to mean in terms of reaching, you know, getting to this deal?
Yeah, the president is frustrated, and he's not the first president of the United States to be frustrated by the situation between the Palestinians and Israelis. You know, President Clinton devoted a huge part of his 8 years of office, didn't walk out with a peace agreement. President Bush looked at that and said, well, why should I get involved? But then he ended up getting involved anyway and walked away very frustrated. President Trump was frustrated during his first round. President Biden was clearly frustrated, and now here we are again. What may be different this time, I don't think we've mentioned yet that Jared Kushner is involved, and that is, of course, the son-in-law of President Trump. And President Trump listens to Jared Kushner, and Jared Kushner knows really how to communicate with President Trump. And so I think that may be one good sign. You know, Jared Kushner was involved in two of the big successes of the first Trump administration, the development of the COVID vaccine and the Abraham Accords between Israel and a lot of the countries in the Middle East. So the fact that the president's son-in-law is involved may be helpful in helping the president to better understand the nuances and better understand what buttons he needs to push. But right now, the ball is in the court of the Israelis and to a certain degree, the Hamas leadership. And so we're going to have to see what happens. You know, I try to be an optimist, and I hope that this really works. But I think we need to now just kind of hope that all of the different parties involved can put aside some of their anger and be very pragmatic about the future.
You know, it being the 2-year mark of the attacks over in Gaza, you know, do you expect more maybe unrest to be happening today as we mark this?
Well, so I think that there's two areas that you have to watch, right? One are the political situation in Israel, and I'll be honest, I am shocked that Prime Minister Netanyahu is still in power after what has transpired the last 2 years. There's a lot of anger at him in Israel, but there's also this sentiment that until the hostages come home, they have to Israelis have to kind of band together behind the government. So we'll see what happens there over the next 6 months. On the Gazan side, so there is supposed to be a ceasefire. The Israelis claim they have come under attack in the last 24 hours, and there have been some ground skirmishes. They have attacked Hamas. The president told them to stop it. He told Israel to stop it specifically. So yeah, I mean, when there's that many armed people on both sides of a conflict, and when there's that many angry people and tired people, and on one side hungry people, and on another side people who just want to go home, bad things can happen. So we'll see if this initial ceasefire can stay in check long enough for the two sides to come together and come up with a first phase to finally ending this conflict. And as I said, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at the first phase, and then we're still going to have a lot of work to do after that.
Cecile, you mentioned, people being hungry. You mentioned, people being, in some cases, injured. Can you kind of give us a picture? Because we see these videos on our TV screen, but we're not there. Can you kind of give us a picture of exactly what is unfolding on the ground there?
So, one of the difficulties is because people do not trust Hamas, because people do not really trust the Palestinian Authority, which has been plagued with corruption over the years. It's hard to know sometimes what to believe, but what is clear, and I should say the New York Times has an excellent article today where they've tried to contact all of the different Gazans they have spoken with in the last 2 years and find out what has happened with their families. And some of them have not lost anyone, but one gentleman said that he has been displaced and had to evacuate something like 20 times in the last 2 years. If you can imagine having to pick up and move your entire family to another part of a country with nothing but what they can carry and have to repeatedly do that, you can just imagine how horrifically stressful it is. Others have lost their entire family, if you can imagine, every close relative that they had. So, so what you have, at the very least, you have enormous trauma that is going to take a generation to overcome. You have hunger. There are a lot of reports of hunger and famine, inadequate clean water, difficulty accessing medical care. We do know for sure that a number of hospitals were destroyed by Israeli bombs. Some of those were apparently, according to the Israelis, misfires. They did not mean to destroy those. Others were on purpose. They meant to destroy the hospital because they believed that there was Hamas hiding underneath in tunnels. So life for the Gazans has just been absolutely horrific, and it was never great. I mean, they've had a rough 50 years. They've had a rough couple hundred years. I mean, times were bad for them under the Egyptians, before that under the Ottomans, and then since then their occupation has sometimes actually gone really well, and other periods during the occupation has been quite difficult. So, but the last 2 years have really been the hardest in the history of that people, at least since 1948. So they really need for this to end. But to be fair, so do the Israelis. I mean, they had never had an attack on their soil like what happened 2 years ago. And when you read the stories of, elderly people being kidnapped and murdered in front of their children, and children being murdered in front of their parents, and small children and pregnant women being kidnapped and eventually dying in captivity, and just the bloodshed, and then you saw some of the people participating laughing about it in videos. I mean, that was traumatic also. It's been a very rough year also for the Israelis, and then of course the soldiers have been deployed through so much of the last 2 years. So both sides, at the civilian level, at the at the kind of the regular military level, people just want this to end. As so often happens in conflicts, it's a few leaders at the top who are making the decisions and not paying the kinds of heavy prices that their own soldiers are paying, and that the many civilians in the area are paying. And that's been true throughout human history. And I just keep hoping that we will at some point evolve beyond that reality. And this is a chance to start. If the leaders of both sides would say, yeah, we're gonna be pragmatic about looking to the future at this point.
You know, Cecile, I feel like out reporting and just having conversations with people, it seems like folks are drawing connection between this unrest and the unrest that's happening between Ukraine and Russia still, you know, that they're almost becoming numb to the news that they get constantly. What would you say to Chicagoans at home who are watching right now when it comes to what's happening in the Middle East? How can they kind of stay involved, stay knowledgeable what's happening?
So I do think that a lot of the news outlets have tried to do the best job possible when, as you say, you know, a lot of the updates are always the same, right? I mean, how many times can you report that people are being forced to evacuate out of Gaza City? Or how many times can you report about family members who are, you know, missing their hostage, the hostages in their families for a second holiday season, as has occurred this year? So I just think that continuing to show compassion and also, you know, not allowing yourself to be caught up or used by people providing only half of the story or trying to rile up American citizens over non-issues. I think we all need to take a step back and see and ask ourselves, for instance, what happens to the U.S. if Putin is made stronger by taking over part of the Ukraine? What happens to the U.S. if Ukraine ultimately cannot win this war? What matters? What parts of U.S. ideals should be at play in the Middle East, both in helping our historic and very close friend Israel, while also worrying about Israel's future and reputation in the world? And how do we therefore try to bring about some kind of peace and understanding in that area, while also showing everyone in that area that we understand that it's a complex situation? I don't think that's an easy answer. I don't know what you were looking for, but I do think that just kind of trying to become our own expertise and trying to develop empathy and look at the big picture of what's at stake. And as important as the Middle East is, and I served a big part of my diplomatic career in the Middle East, I'm glad you brought up the Ukraine or Ukraine, excuse me, they don't like the part. I'm glad you brought up Ukraine and Russia, because that has profound impact, potential future impact on the security of the United States.
Well, Cecile, Shay, we could talk about this for a very long time. There's so many issues really nestled into this conflict that has gone on. Yeah, and then, you know, you couple that with what's going on in America, it's easy for Americans to get kind of bogged down by it all and you know, focused on what's happening here. It's so much going on in the world, but we appreciate you coming on our show and really sorting this it's a major issue, and we appreciate you sorting it out with us. Thank you so much for your time today.
And thank you for encouraging civil conversation on this very important and emotional issue, which is, I think, one thing we should all do more of.
Yeah, I agree.
Cecile. Appreciate it.
We'll see you. Hopefully, we'll see you again on a positive note the next time we have a conversation.
Thanks.
Yeah, we need more positivity. That's for sure.
She did do a really nice job.
She did a very good job
of making it easy to understand, because, like you said, it is a very complex topic that has been going on now for 2 years.
Well, we're going to talk about another very complex topic, and that is bullying. In fact, October is Bullying Prevention Month. We're going to talk to a doctor and an expert right after this break. We'll see you on the other side. What?
Welcome back to Chicago Now. October is Bullying Prevention Month. We typically said that we see it among teens and children, but adults can be bullied too.
Yeah.
So there's a new survey that shows that 31% of individuals in the U.S. reported experiencing bullying as an adult, and 43% reported that bullying seems to have become more accepted in recent years. Well, to talk about this topic is Dr. Laura Erickson with the Chicago School. Thank you so much, Doctor, for joining us.
It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
I think my first question is kind of a two-part question. You know, how often are we talking about bullying among adults? And is this happening in the workplace? Is it happening more with young adults, maybe in a college campus setting?
Absolutely. We see similar rates between teens, children, and adult bullying, actually.
Wow. For the adults, where is it happening? Is it mostly in the workplace? Is it even, I don't know, in the car while you're driving?
With your partner?
Like I don't know.
I think it can and does happen everywhere. And certainly the tactics are a bit different when we see bullying happening, let's say, on college campuses or in the workplace. In the workplace or even on campuses, we might see more of what we would consider subtle and sophisticated bullying. So things like gaslighting, things like cold shouldering, or giving someone the silent treatment, shaming someone, starting rumors about someone. And we can see those things in younger people too, but ultimately adults tend to have a bit more of this sophisticated nature of going about it.
Yeah, or I could see it happening in the workplace on different levels. What oftentimes, because in a workplace is different for an adult, because now you don't want to now be demoted, or you don't want to lose your paycheck. You may have a mortgage, car note, whatever. What are the mental effects that people have when they are bullied in the workplace? And then do most people suffer in silence?
These are great questions. So we see decreased productivity. So even if we're looking at this from a purely financial aspect, individuals who are bullied are less productive. We find that they isolate more. We also find too that they just tend to disengage and have trouble with concentration in the workplace. And ultimately, yes, there is less communication with others, which is especially concerning because in my own research, social support is the #1 contributor towards developing resiliency. So we really do need people to speak up, and not just the person that's being affected by the bullying.
I think that it's a hard thing because I've witnessed this before. I've been the receiver of adult bullying before. And the issue is oftentimes people are like, are you sure? Because I'm not having that experience. And so then you really don't have anyone to talk to nor to relate to. And then you start to think, well, maybe I'm doing something wrong here. A lot of internalizing.
Absolutely. And that's that gaslighting piece. Are you really experiencing that the person may be trying to put onto you? For sure.
Dr. Laura, do you know usually like the reason behind why the person is bullying someone, whether it be in the workplace or somewhere else?
Yes. So one thing to keep in mind that bullying is repeated harmful behavior. So it's not a one-off situation. It's a situation where this is happening over and over again, and the bully has some type of power or control. So there's certain elements that have to be present here. Ultimately, the bully too may be using that power and control to get something that they want, or they may be facing something in their own lives that they need support with. But obviously, this is not the way to do it.
I know you offer a suicide and cyberbullying prevention certificate. Why was this program created, and who is it really designed for? Is it also designed for adults? Because you got a lot of keyboard bullies out there too.
Yeah. Yes. And honestly, a lot of bullying is cyber-based bullying now. Ultimately, too, with cyberbullying, there is this degree of anonymity that can give people maybe some more confidence to say or do things they wouldn't say or do in face-to-face communications. However, the inverse is also true. So people can become upstanders instead of bystanders or spectators, and maybe be more likely to intervene, also due to that anonymity. We created the program ultimately to support and serve those who are mental health care professionals all across the country and the world. I find a lot of people who complete our certificate program are already clinicians of some sort. Maybe they're working in a high school or a college campus setting, and they notice this among their clientele that people are reporting cyberbullying or difficulties with bullying of some kind. And they want to have a better grasp of not only the prevalence of bullying, but also how we can best serve and support those who are being bullied.
What does the program look like? How do you get the certificate?
Yes, it's a 9 credit hour program, so not difficult to complete. And the classes include things like suicide and cyberbullying prevention, global issues and suicide, really exciting, interesting classes where we take a cross-cultural and a US-based perspective on it.
Going back to the motivation behind the bully, do you find that it's the kids who have been, or the adults that have been a bully kind of their own whole life as a kid to now as an adult? Or maybe sometimes is it someone who was bullied as a kid and now is becoming the bully as an adult?
Certainly there is an overlap there, but this is also nuanced in many ways. Sometimes that power that people can get from being a bully feels really good to them, and they may be more inclined to do it repeatedly.
I think an adult bully needs therapy, but that's just my opinion. Let me ask you, just looking at the totality of this, right? If you witness someone being bullied, you're an adult, you don't really want to intervene, you don't really want to rock the boat. What do you advise people to do in that situation so that the person being bullied doesn't feel isolated? Because I'm guessing here, that can lead to suicide.
It can, absolutely. Right. There's a long road to getting there. But ultimately, even if the bystander or upstander is the language I would prefer here, can't say anything in the moment due to those concerns that you raised at the beginning of this segment, such as losing their job or losing standing in the workplace, it is really important that they say something to the person, maybe privately, like, I noticed what happened earlier. Do you want to talk about that with me? Ultimately, we have to say something. There just cannot be any suffering in silence whatsoever.
Well, yeah,
it's a tough conversation.
It's a tough conversation because you remember kind of how it feels as a young person, and you think about little things that have happened as an adult, and now you're reflecting and kind of thinking, was that, a form of them being a bully? Because I can imagine it could even be the small things that kind of lead up to a lot. It doesn't have to be one big blow up that happens with this, bully or where you're being bullied.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we know depression, anxiety, stress, issues with GI, blood pressure, cardiovascular are all potential symptoms of ongoing, persistent lack of intervention bullying, and those are going to be risk factors for other types of mental and physical conditions as well. We also should be mindful too that this is solvable. This is not something that we just throw our hands up and say, can't do anything about it. This is absolutely solvable.
Do you see the bullying, the results of bullying, to be different in children versus adults? Because children are, developing emotion and learning to process things versus some adults are already there. Do you see the response to be different depending on who is being bullied?
This is a great question, and I think children are inherently vulnerable. No matter what is happening to them, they are at greater risk than adults are, simply by nature of their developmental stage in life. However, we also see that the rates of functional impairment, which is what we use when we're diagnosing a disorder, are about equivalent in terms of children and adults who experience bullying and if it's actually leading to a genuine mental health condition.
You're saying so it has pretty much the same effect as on a kid as it would an adult, that same gut-wrenching feeling.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, because you usually tell your kids, you're just in middle school. I can imagine you're just in middle school. These bullies will pass. But it probably is important to start telling your children, hey, you know what? This is happening now. It might happen again in the future, even as an adult. Be ready for it. Should people start having those conversations?
Absolutely. And people should be having those conversations with their children to be upstanders, to not let this happen with their teenagers, with their young adult children, with their friends, with their other family members. Ultimately, we're seeing more bullying, as that survey that you mentioned noticed. at all levels of life right now. And we have to do something, and we can do something to intervene on that.
Dr. Erickson, I just find it so interesting, you know, how bullying impacts people from young adults up until like adulthood, because you'll talk to somebody, they're 50 years old, and they'll still remember what the bully said when they were 6 or when they were 10, and it can literally have an impact on their life forever and how they see themselves forever.
Yes. About 10 years ago, the American Psychological Association came out with some groundbreaking research that said psychological or emotional abuse is more difficult to recover from than other types of abuse. And bullying falls into that. It is very difficult to get recovery and healing there, but not impossible.
Yeah.
You know, would you say in a workplace, you know, like Fox 32 or wherever you might be, is it important to kind of, you know, delegate someone or be that person yourself to either get a certificate or to be that person who says, I'm going to be the watchful eye around, I'm going to be that person to, you know, stand up? Because how much of a difference would that make if you did have someone who's really looking out for it?
Yes, and I don't think it can be just one person, right? Knowledge is power, but collective knowledge inspires and motivates, shapes, cultivates actual action. So I see a huge opportunity here for workplaces to be able to not just give employees another click through on what not to do in the workplace, but rather really build up their employees to be upstanders in the workplace and create a new culture that is not going to stand for cruelty and incivility.
I agree with you 100%. Dr. Laura Erickson with the Chicago School, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a hard one, you know, because I get it, like it's a fine line. You don't want to be the person like, you know, going to report every time you see the bully doing something. But as a person who's been on the receiving end, I understand how isolating that can be. But, you know, I guess the plus to being an adult is you're able to forgive and hopefully live a healthy life and move on.
You're right. As a kid, it can change the trajectory of your life, but as an adult, it still hurts just as bad.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Well, we have so much more to get to throughout the hour. We'll be right back after the break.
Fox Low.
Welcome back to Chicago Now. We are highlighting spotlighting people and places that make Chicago's Hispanic community thrive throughout Hispanic Heritage Month here at Fox 32. We have a very special guest with us, Carlos Lerma. You come from Monterrey, Mexico, but you moved to Chicago in 2022, and you're making a big impact here.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me. Yes, I try my best. I moved out here in September of 2022, and since then I've just been making shorts in live action and animation, and it's been a blast. I've had so much fun screening it at festivals all over the country, a little bit outside of the country, and it's the coolest job that I'm trying to have.
Wow, this looks really good.
I know, just as it says at the bottom there, rising Chicago filmmaking star. I've been able to visit your Instagram a little bit, and I see such creative pieces, stuff that it seems like, man, where are you drawing inspiration from?
My own personal life. I treat all of my short films like my own personal diary, which can be fun, but I do it for me mostly because, like, when I'm older, I want to be able to, like, look back when I was younger and be like, oh, when I was younger, I did all of these things, and I treat it like a diary, especially with, like, short films that I wanted to talk about how I am an international student and talk about the struggles, but also the very cool and fun parts, and yeah, just kind of have a record of everything that's happened to me.
Done. I like that. What was it that you saw when you were younger that made you say, after seeing this, I want to do that? Was there something that made you say, filmmaking is for me?
It was not a movie or a TV show, but it was actually, when I was a kid, I didn't have like that many friends growing up. I have my small little circle, but the thing that made me really get into filmmaking was the internet. I was an internet child my whole life, and then I started watching short films on YouTube, and one night I was just like completely like enthralled by one, and I was like, this is what I want to do. Because for like 5 to 10 minutes I was like, I forgot about everything that was happening, and I was just focused on this one short, and I was like, I want to do that for like other people.
Now wait, you're in Vampire.
Yes, I act in my own stuff too, because like,
I love it.
The short Vampire is super, super personal because it's about male insecurity, about taking off your shirt at the pool. So one of the things that I love tackling little things like that is so niche and specific. Yeah. But at the same time, I didn't want to go up to one of my guy friends and be like, you know what? You look so insecure. Would you want to act in my stuff? Yeah. So I feel like since it comes from a very personal place, might as well act in it myself, because I know the ins and outs of the whole topic as a whole. So yeah, act in myself.
Going back to, I mean, not a lot of people find their passion at that young of age. Yeah. So tell us more about that first short film. What was it about? What was it that drew your inspiration for that very first?
About what was my very first film about?
Yes.
My very first film was about, it was a love poem, I think. I made it on my iPad, because I say this all the time, like, I'm sure kids my age at the time, like when they were like 13 or 14, they begged their parents for like video games or cleats to play soccer or XYZ, but I begged my dad for an iPad. I was like, I want the new iPad Pro with the Apple Pencil, please. And once my dad gave it to me, there was no human power that could like separate us from each other. So You
from the iPad?
Yes. So I just drew on Procreate, and I made a little black and white animated short, and then as time went on and I became more confident in making shorts, I made them in color, and then once I was a little more confident, I did it with a camera, and then now I'm here.
The iPad kid turned very successful.
Yes.
I love this. It says that you've even delivered a TED Talk. What's next for you? Like, what is like the one thing that you want to accomplish for yourself next?
Next, I would love to host, there's this thing, if anybody who works at Apple is watching, I would love to host a Today at Apple session in Chicago.
Oh, right here, down the street. They do them all the time.
I would love to do that,
Awesome.
yeah. And as for my TED Talk, it's coming out soon. It's not out yet. It should be out later this month. Okay. But it's about the struggles of international students, and one of the things I talk about is there was this story about how I got fired from a studio in California.
Is that true?
Yes. yes, because of being an international student, but I go into way more into depth in the TED Talk. And just the power of doing your own thing, especially with film. But I'm so excited for people to see it.
I mean, I think that was a really strong message. Can you bring back up that TED Talk?
Yeah, because I like what it said. Create your own show.
Yeah, if you want to be the star, create the show.
Yes.
I love that.
And that's really what you're centering it about.
Yes, because for the past 6 or 7 years where I've been making films, I've just, like, me casting myself in my own stuff. Like, I'd rather just do my own stuff and act in it and do the stories that I want to do right now with my own resources and ideas than wait for somebody else's project where I can be like a cog in the machine. So I'd rather start now. That's very nifty. That's
I love
so
it.
Fun.
You're very inspirational. Considering everything that's going on in the world right now, how are you staying so happy and upbeat?
I'm just happy to be here. I talk about it a lot about it online. It's like, it is what it is sometimes. And you can either laugh about it or cry about it. And I just choose to, like, it is what it is. Because I have a lot of international students that I talk to. My best friend is an international student. Shout out Louis. He's an international student from France. And one of the things that we have in mind right now is the fact that starting June 2026, we both have to go to our respective countries. And there are things we can do to continue in the States, but it's a very complicated process. It was complicated enough to come to the country.
Yeah.
And now there's a lot of things that need to happen for us to continue. So as of now, I don't really have a plan, but there are some things that I could do, but I'll cross that bridge when I get to it.
I think that's the beauty of it sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes you don't need a plan in order to find the success. Probably much like what happened when you came here in Chicago. You created the show. You know, when you do go back to Mexico, do you plan on just, you know, continuing your path and trying to do as much there as you're doing here?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like wherever I end up after I graduate college, I'm sure I'll continue making shorts, and if I'm not making shorts, I'll make something else. Because, and I've said this before, but like making films or like any type of art for me is kind of like a drug. Like I get such a cool high when I make something, and especially when I share it out to the world, to the very kind people that even care about what I do. It's one of my favorite things in the world to do.
If you weren't doing film, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever consider anything else? Was there something else that you were really good at too?
Probably marketing. Or one of the things that I really wanted to be when I was a teenager was a children's psychiatrist or therapist.
Okay.
Okay.
But now I'm in film, so.
Well, let's talk about where people can see some of your films, because I know looking at your Instagram, you've been to the Music Box before.
I love
you've
the
been
Music Box.
screened at festivals nationwide.
Yeah.
Is there anything that's coming up that maybe people here in Chicago can look forward to?
Yes. Well, first of all, if you guys want to watch my shorts, you can watch them on YouTube. All of them are there. And coming up in Peoria, I'm going to have a screening for Vampire November. Don't quote me.
People just have to go to your YouTube, find out.
For sure. And then on December 6th on the Lincoln Lodge with Windy City Shorts. That is one of my favorite indie film festivals here in the city.
It must be so amazing to see yourself on the big screen or see your work on the big screen.
Yes, it is so cool. I've kind of lost like the awkwardness of it, because at first I was like, oh my God, that's,
yeah, I
that's
bet.
me. But now I'm like, I'm so proud to see the things that I do on screen, because I put so much time and effort and money into them. So seeing them up on screen is super rewarding for me, but also to the very kind people that help me make them.
When you say money, how much money are you investing in some of these?
Not much, because the people that make shorts, like for sure, for real, I spend like 500 to 1.5K per short. Like it's not, if you ask anybody who like actually makes short films, they're gonna be like, that's nothing. But for me, that's a lot, because I'm a broke college student, so I'm just out here.
Well, and good for you, because they look epic. I mean,
yes,
seeing some of the little short pieces that we're seeing of it. You know, back to, you know, you being from Mexico, being an international student, I think, I don't know, having a Hispanic family myself, sometimes some of our grandparents, parents don't have the same opportunity as we do now, knowing that we have, you know, the internet, knowing we have more connections through that. Are you hoping that you can be a big inspiration for maybe other, you know, students, young students in Mexico?
Yeah,
pursue the same dream?
I would love to, because it is a really cool thing to do, not only coming to America, but just leaving your hometown to like build a life of your own. So if by me being here and making what I want to do with my own life and chasing my dreams, maybe somebody else wants to pursue a career in the medical field or an engineer or a lawyer, but they want to do it either out of their home state or even out of the country, I feel like I really want to be a good voice for just following your own paths, regardless of where it is.
I love that. One final question for you. Have you ever shot a film short on an iPhone?
No, but I really want to.
Okay.
I really want to.
We look forward to seeing it. Where can people follow you one last time?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram on @Carlos and then E and then Lerma.
All right, it's right there on the screen. Thank you so much for being with us. You brought our spirits up.
Thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun.
Yeah, that's so exciting.
The big screen, because it's coming.
Oh,
it is coming.
It's coming, for sure. If you need 2 stars,
I should take you guys up on that.
Honestly,
we're
so
free.
down.
All right, we'll be right back after this.
Thanks, Carlos.
Diamond.
Welcome back to Chicago Now. We just had a great conversation with Carlos Lerma. Remember that name because I have a feeling that he's going to be really successful. But now we're switching gears and talking about something that's happening locally here this weekend.
The Chicago Marathon.
Big Chicago Marathon. We're already seeing street closures for it very soon. We're talking to runners throughout Good Day Chicago, throughout Chicago Now. That's where it's all really going to happen, at least the starting and finish lining, I believe. Actually, I'm planning to go this weekend just to cheer on some folks that I know. But have you ever thought about running a marathon? Have you ever?
Yes, I have before in California.
You did?
I did.
I almost
died. Correct. I almost died. I don't remember my time because by the time I looked up, I was like one of the last people coming through the finish line. It was interesting. Yeah, I can't say that I would do it again. Now listen. I used to love to run, and in fact, I just started back running this past Sunday.
It the other day.
This past Sunday, I decided, you know what, that was the best way that I stayed fit. It's a way of clearing your mind, and I did it strictly for the exercise. I'm not here to be a marathon runner. I think that the toll of running on concrete has definitely taken its toll on my knees already. But yeah, I can get into why people do it. I honestly can. It's definitely a high. And we want to talk to somebody who's about to do it. His name is Otis Hudson. He is a retired NFL guard who played for the Cincinnati Bengals. That was 2010 to 2013. And then the Kansas City Chiefs in 2014. And then following his retirement, moved back to Chicago and discovered running is, like I just said, a perfect way to stay healthy. So Otis, you're going to be running in the Chicago Marathon this Sunday. Is this the first time that you'll be running in this?
This will be my second time. I ran in 2022.
Got it. How did you do the first time?
I made it 17 miles, then I had to tap out.
It was a lot. It was a lot, right?
It was a lot because I didn't train for it.
Okay.
Okay. This year, are you training for it? Do you think it's going to be a different outcome?
I am training for it. I hired a coach, Dan O'Keefe, with Naperville Running Company, and Coach Vanestein Running. Yeah, I'm going to finish 100%. I'm going to finish this year.
Perfect. So into that training, because we've seen videos of people training, they're waking up bright and early in the morning to do this. Walk us through a day of training for Otis.
So a day of training, so I start my training around 4:35 in the afternoon. On Mondays, I run 3 miles and 5 sprints. On Tuesdays, I run with my track club at Naperville Running Club in North Central College, downtown Naperville. On Wednesday is my rest day. Thursday is around 5 miles. Friday is another rest day. Saturday is my long run, anywhere between 10 to 15 miles. And Sunday is a recovery run, 3 miles.
So Otis, is this anything like, practice during the NFL season, or is it a whole different kind of bear to prepare for a marathon?
I think it's different because when you practicing for the NFL, you pretty much working on skill work and agilities, and this you trying to build your endurance.
What about the food aspect? Because we have heard people, load up on the carbs and all this stuff. How do you, you're laughing, so it must be something to it. How do you prepare for the food part of it too?
That's an interesting question because when I first started running, I would get hungry a lot, but now I'm not as hungry. So I had to hire a running nutritionist, and I hired her a couple weeks ago. So I'm eating more now than when I was first starting training for the marathon.
So explain, if you're eating to prepare for this, what does a day in the life of your food laid out on the table look like?
Especially during your long run days.
Yeah.
So my long run, I eat probably 3 slices of bread, and I just take my gels and go run. So a typical day, I will eat protein shake and a banana. For lunch, I will have some chicken or steak and some rice. I don't eat too much vegetables, but I probably should. For dinner, I would have pretty much the same chicken and rice and another protein shake.
I wonder, is that why?
It's pretty plain.
It is plain.
I feel like I need a little more.
But I think it probably would kind of weigh you down a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't know.
What have you learned with this running nutritionist? Because maybe some people who are preparing right now are just running in general.
Just showing up.
They can't get a running nutritionist. What's maybe some piece of advice that they have given you that you found surprising or more helpful than you thought when you first heard it?
She said I need to eat more. I need to eat way more than what I'm currently doing. So I try to stomach as much as I can, but at this moment, I just can't eat too much.
So you said last year, or was it 2022, you said that you ran this marathon before, 2022. You said you had to tap out at the 17th mile. Why do you think that, what do you think happened that you had to do that? Was it a lack of training? Was it a lack of the nutritional part? Was it both?
So my feet started to hurt mile 14, and I really didn't understand shoes at the time because in the NFL you kind of get measured for your shoes, and you're not allowed to wear anything that can really, injure you. So when I started running, I'm a size 14 and a half, which I found out this year, but I raced in a size 16. So my foot kept hitting the front of my shoe, and I just had enough at mile 17.
Yeah, ouch.
Probably had all kinds of
wrong.
sores.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, Otis, but it sounds like you're like, hey, I made it through the NFL, which props to you. You kind of go into this thinking like, I could do this.
When I first did it, yes. I said I played in the NFL, so I could just sign up and run a marathon, easy breezy, no problem. But that's not the reality of things. So I really had to train and focus on my conditioning, trying to eat as healthy as possible. When I first started racing this year, I was 396 pounds, and I will race this year at 310 pounds.
Oh,
wow,
congratulations,
good for you.
you did it. Very good.
Man.
What do you think your time will be? If you had to say, okay, this is a decent time for me, this is where I want to be, what would you say your time will be?
2 hours and 45 minutes, easy. No, I'm joking. I just want to finish it. I just want to finish it, and going into next season, I want to actually train and prepare to qualify for Boston.
That's
okay,
impressive.
so you want to continue this after the 2022 is behind you.
Keep rolling.
This is the start of something new.
Yeah, qualify for Boston, and yeah, I think, you know, when I get together with my coach after the race, we'll put together a plan, talk to my nutritionist, and she'll put together a diet plan and take it from there.
I wish you all the luck. I really do. They were packing up when I did mine. It was like
She has done it. She walked.
Literally, they were
You were done at mile 16. I'm not even going to start. I'm sorry.
They were packing up. They're like, we're not here.
I'm going on Sunday. Well, at least I'll be along the route. I will look for you, Otis, and I'll be cheering you on.
Yeah, we'll cheer you on.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you for being with us. We'll have you back when you may do it in 2 hours. You never know. You never know.
I'm not doing 2 hours, trust me.
You might win it.
You might win it all.
What are we talking?
No chance. Well, we have Connor Mitz. I believe that's his name. He's going for the record this year, and I hope he get it.
Yeah, we hope so too. But we hope that you finish too, Otis. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Have a good one.
So a lot of people will be out there running, and I think the beauty to this is compared to last weekend, it sounds like the weather's going to be a little better. So
perfect.
Yeah,
what I heard, right?
And cooler, I think. So this should be good. I think.
Let's hope so.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us on this version of Chicago Now. We'll see you on Hump Day. Of course, you know that's tomorrow. Look at all those people taking those cute pictures.
I know, the rain
Have
is
a
gone.
great rest of your day. Stay safe, Chicago.
Live from Chicago, this is Fox 32 News at Noon.
Next at noon, the National Guard deployment is moving forward in Chicago. Gabriela Primus has the latest details in just a moment.
Today marks 2 years since the October 7th attacks on Israel. We're going to get an update on the ceasefire talks between Israel and Hamas.
And taking a live look outside, it's been a very rainy morning so far. Did you hear the thunder and lightning? Is it going to continue into the afternoon? Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Sylvia Perez.
And I'm Natalie Baumke. And yes, I did
you hear it?
I heard the thunder and I saw the lightning, and it just was pouring today. It was. But I know a lot of people are excited to finally get the rain.
We needed the rain, right?
Yeah.
And Caitlin, what more can we expect?
Ooh, cloudy skies now, but luckily the rain is starting to move out. Now, it's not out of the question that you see some drizzle out there. But that heavy stuff that we had last night and this morning, which was a headache for many who are driving to work this morning, it has since moved to the southeast. We still have a little bit of light rain coming down in portions of northwest Indiana, but